Last week, I ranked accents from different UK regions, and thank you so much for all your comments and letting me know that I'm not alone. Even some of the accents very difficult for British locals to understand. But after 8 years, languages is actually the easier part to blend in. Living here, this country gave me so many things that actually changed the way I want to live. People complain the UK quite a lot, including myself, venting about the weather being windy, why there's second winter in middle of summer. In today's video, I would like to share the things that I genuinely think UK does better. Hi everyone, I'm Winnie, Taiwanese, 8 years in Yorkshire. In today's video, I would like to talk about things that UK generally does better. This is not me bashing home. I love Taiwan. I am a proud Taiwanese. It is just living away from home made me notice things that I never would. The first one is driving. I'm a driving license holder in Taiwan, and in the UK, I just started learning how to drive. To be honest, the experience is a lot better in Taiwan. Sometimes you have scooters just randomly chip in, and like people all race driving, there's beep and bop everywhere. And in the UK, like even though I'm a new driver, everyone seemed to be very patient with me. I haven't had anyone beeping or bopping at me on the road, and that is generally a really nice experience. And I think driving here is a lot less chaotic and everyone follow the rules. Asia, like you probably see a lot of the video that is really reaction based. You pretty much just training how to react very quickly. But here, as long as you follow the rules, generally quite safe. From my experience, even though it's driving on a completely different side and there is a lot of roundabouts that we don't really have in Taiwan, I think driving in the UK is a lot more comfortable, and even though the speed is high, it's a lot easier. And please do tell me that a roundabout is gonna get easier. I am still practicing more roundabout. And the next one is seasons. Like people here talk about the weather is really bad, but the seasons here is great. Like you have little animals popping up in spring, and you do like different kind of flowers and summer barbecue under daylight. Like I can't imagine that in Taiwan. Actually, if we're doing barbecue, it's usually after sunset in the evening because the sun will kill us. But able to go out under the sunlight and do barbecue and like picnics here is amazing. I also love like the red, orange autumn, and when the whole mountain changes color, and in winter there's Christmas and snow sometimes. And even though the weather usually is pretty bad, I also enjoy sitting in the warm house and listening to the rain. That is not something that we have in Taiwan, so I do really enjoy the different phases of the country the seasons bring me. And the funny thing is people here love the heat. Well, if I love hotness all the time, I wouldn't have moved away from Taiwan. So I enjoy the chillness. The third one is like knowing what's in things, the ingredients and like the original products. In Taiwan, we in general just trust if things taste good, it tastes good. If things works, it works. But when I first moved here, that I brought this magical medicine from Japan. And my colleague at work have headache, and I'm like, oh, do you want to try my magic powder? This sounds really bad now, I know, but I literally say that to him at the time. I'm like, I have some magic powder, do you want to try? And he asked me, what's inside here? I'm like, don't know, but it works. And that just says a lot, like the difference between here and Taiwan. Here people know what's paracetamol, ibuprofen, and what time to take them when you have different kinds of headache. In Taiwan, things work. We'll just eat it. including food. Like I bring souvenirs back from Taiwan and then I'll give away to my friends and then they'll ask me what's inside here. I'm like, don't know, but it's delicious. Yeah, I'm more aware of this now. Like I do read the ingredients list. I genuinely care about where things come from, but that is something that UK changed me, and I think that is a good change. Okay, the next one might shock you is how child-friendly the UK is. In Taiwan, I just recently heard a horror story about there's a donut shop. They ask if parents want to take away their donuts, they have to let their young children wait outside of the shop because they has a no children policy. And that's just I know maybe you don't want children to dine in, but not even able to go in the shop and queue with their parents is another level of shockness there. I don't have kids myself, but my friends have mentioned a few times that it's generally quite difficult for them to take public transportation in Taiwan or even just walk on the sidewalk. With myself, last time I went back home, I bring big luggages. It's already very inconvenient, and I can't even imagine how it would be for parents with young children. Taiwanese social media keep piling on about kids being so loud on public transportation and kids being so loud in the restaurant. I understand some of the kids do need a bit more regulation, but in general, kids are kids. You can't just not allow them to go outside and learn how to be in the society. Compared to Taiwan, I think the UK make me less worried about raising the kids here, because I think it would be really stressful raising kids in Taiwan if everyone is so judgmental. And that comes nicely to the next point, is actually about inclusion and diversity. In the UK, you can actually see people with some disadvantages walking on the street. I often see blind people with guide dogs and in wheelchairs, for example. They'll just walk on the street without other people's assistance. I don't really see that in Taiwan. There will be a lot of obstacles for people to be able to walk around like that in Taiwan. And I think that's something as Taiwanese we really need to put more thoughts into. Not everyone, sure, we are a big group, but we should be able to accept different people's diversity. Diversity and inclusion is generally one of the things that I think is the most beautiful thing in the UK. Not only to people from different backgrounds, but people with different disadvantages. Parents can work with pram on the street with their children easily. UK has these small things that cater to different groups of people compared to Taiwan, which I personally think is great. I never see from that perspectives before. There are also a lot more catering to people with different dietary requirements here in the UK. You can choose gluten-free, halal, or whether it's for religious reason or allergies. Here people actually care a lot more of different people have different dietary needs. Me and my fiance has been discussing where we want to host our wedding, and we kind of have to rule out Taiwan as an option, because if we want to provide halal food on our wedding and make sure all our friends can eat and have fun comfortably, there are not so many halal options in Taiwan, so we kind of have to rule it out. The point is about boundary. In Taiwan, people will say to my face that, oh, you look a bit chubby. Do you get more weight recently? Or saying that you are divorced now, don't be so picky. And I was guilty of that when I lived there too. I liked to give opinions and ideas that no one asked for. Taiwanese generally does give for example, parenting advice that no one really asks for. I love that people here in the UK has a lot more boundary, and this country actually taught me how to have my personal boundary. For example, my father really wants me to do something, and he will actually guilt trip me into doing that. If I don't, he wouldn't talk to me, and that was really hard for me to take on because he doesn't like my choices. And this country told me that, well, this is my boundary, like I should be responsible for my choices and what I want to do, and this is my life. Seeing my friends, family giving them support here and respect what they do just taught me a lot. Like, this is my choice, like his emotion is his emotion. He decided to be like that's not my fault. I learned so much to respect my own boundary and respect other people's boundary. That is something this country taught me, and I think people here doesn't really necessarily realizing that, and I really appreciate that is something that UK definitely does better. I will never hear anyone judging about how I go about my life. All I wanted to share about how this country changes me for better, and I think UK in general really does better. The next video that I would like to share the things that after living here for 8 years that I'm still not used to at all. And if there is anything that you think UK does great, or you think the UK definitely could be improved, please leave below in the comment. And if you like today's video, please give me a big thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, and share my video. And hopefully I'll see you next time. Thank you for watching. Bye bye.